and additional cars will join in the following months. As well as incredible free content, TCR Virtual is also completely free to enter, and there are some incredible prizes up for grabs. Competitors will be fighting for a share of €10,000 in prize money, and the overall winner gets an additional prize of a test in a real-world TCR car. So, how do you get your chance to win these awesome prizes? Well, TCR Virtual is like nothing else that has gone before. The aim is to get as many people racing as possible, just like the real-world TCR series around the world. So, that must mean a hot lap leaderboard competition with the top 20 drivers going on to complete the championship, right? Wrong. TCR Virtual takes place on SimRacing.gp, the home of competitive online sim racing. To qualify, you need to take part in a 10-minute race on the TCR Virtual Hub within SimRacing.gp. Qualifying races will be held around the clock for 2 weeks, and all you have to do is finish a race and do it without any incidents. So no contacts, off tracks or spins. That is all you have to do. Once you have unlocked that TCR Virtual qualification achievement, you can race in a regional knockout bracket. Each bracket will consist of rounds and heats. Simply sign up to one of the heats and prepare to race. Each heat, drivers will either be knocked out or promoted to the next round. In round 1, 50% of the field will be promoted to round 2, and the bottom 50% will be eliminated. This unique format means even if you aren't the fastest hot lapper on the planet, but you possess great racecraft, you have a very good chance of progressing deep into the tournament. The €10,000 prize pool will be shared between the regional brackets, with prizes for the top 3 in each region. After the regional knockouts, the winners will be invited to an on-site event where the overall winner will win a test in a real TCR touring car. So get ready to race in TCR Virtual. Qualification opens on the 18th of October and lasts for 2 weeks. For more information, join the mailing list at virtual.tcr-series.com, and good luck.
My name is Alberto Puig. I work at Business Development and WSC Group, the owners of TCR and ETCR trademarks. Why did we do the TCR Virtual project? The reason why is that we want to create the biggest TCR touring car racing platform in the world. We have created this on the last years with real racing, and now the combustion real racing is the first pillar that we did, and now we are developing the 2 new pillars, which are electric racing and the virtual racing. For us nowadays, we have a TCR car racing almost every week, and the goal is to have a TCR racing car racing every day. So that's why we started with the TCR Virtual. It's the sim racing world is a very democratic world where everyone can participate from home. I mean, you just sit on your rig and you start racing, and this is why we wanted to create something for everyone out there to be able to race a TCR car. So for the development of the mode, we want to use the same vision that we've been using on TCR. So we want to partner with everyone that is involved, all the stakeholders. On one side we have the manufacturers, on the other side we have the racing community, right? So we wanted to develop this mod involving the manufacturers in all the process. So they were aware of everything that we've been doing, all the physics, they shared all the physics of the cars, all the data. So we were able to create the most accurate TCR virtual version of the cars. And we also involved the racing community in testing the cars and everything. So we have all the information, all the feedback from the racing community telling us how the car behaves, how everything is done, and we wanted to create the most accurate version of the TCR cars on the virtual world. For us, creating a unique racing format, it was important in order to create something that was very democratic, so everyone can participate, and it's not just limited by being fast on just one lap, but being fast, consistent, and being able to race. So for us, sim racing is actually about racing, and what we wanted to do is get people racing, and that's why we created this this unique format. So everyone will get the chance to actually be on a race by qualifying and actually racing against other drivers, and not just racing against themselves and the clock. So for us, the future of TCR Virtual and TCR SimRacing, as I was saying before, we want to have these three major pillars with our real combustion engine racing, electric wheel racing, and then we want to have virtual racing. And this is key for us also to create a big community here. We want to have the biggest touring car racing community on the virtual world as well. And this is what our focus is, to create the widest community on sim racing, and that everyone will be able to participate whenever they want, however they want, whichever car they would like to race.
Nurburgring Grand Prix circuit, 5.148 kilometres of tarmac, opened in 1984, is a technical challenge for all of the drivers. Sector 1 through the Mercedes arena, you'll balance your car for a good run out of this section, down into Valvoline and Ford, before rounding the Dunlop hairpin and beginning the ascent up the hill into the RTL and bit curve section of corners. Here a driver will need maximum commitment in order to get the best possible lap time and the run down the longest straight on the circuit into the tight, twisted and difficult Vidal chicane. Clatter over the curbs, get a good run through the final Coca-Cola corner and restart another lap at the German Nurburgring Grand Prix circuit, one of the most spectacular to drive and to race tracks in the whole of Europe. Is sure to be an immense challenge for our TCR virtual race drivers here this weekend. And more about the TCR virtual format for the Nurburgring race. We will be having an 8-minute qualification session that will be held on the SimRacing Expo 2021. Race 1 will be of 25 minutes in length, and Race 2, with a reverse grid, will be a further 25 minutes as we look to crown the best of the TCR virtual drivers this weekend.
Well, good afternoon everybody, and welcome along to this TCR virtual event. John Hindorf and Nick Damon from Radio Show Limited. Glad to have you along for this demonstration event for this exciting new foray into the virtual world by TCR, the latest of a number of real world racing series who have decided to dip into the world of sim and e-sports. We know this from the real world, Nick. This is so close, such exciting racing. I expect nothing different in the virtual world to what we would see if I was sitting next to Martin Haven at this very venue, as I have done on many times to see the World Touring Car Championship racing here as the support race to the Nurburgring 24, which you and I have covered many times before.
Yeah, it's great to see the TCRs being embraced into the world of virtual racing. We have been a couple of forays in there, but of course it's a completely different skill than you often find in the wonderful world of sim racing, which is so dominated, isn't it, by powerful rear-wheel drive cars in the GT3s or GT4s, or even as you move up to the P2s and the hypercars. But this is front-wheel drive racing, John. It's a completely different skill. It's all about getting the car rotating, avoiding that understeer, getting the drive out of the corners, carrying the corner speed, and of course remembering that the rear wheels are only there to keep the exhaust off the ground.
Copyright Martin Haven,
exactly.
That one. So we're into a qualifying session. So although if you want to be involved in this from the 18th of October, you don't have to do a qualifying session. Once we get to competitive side of things, I'm thinking that even I could get 10 minutes of driving around very slowly without going off the track or hitting anything.
Possibly. I think Joe Bradley might disagree about that. From the historic issue with the overnight use of his iRacing license, anyway.
Oh, that was different. I was being competitive there.
Yeah, I think that's the qualifier. The qualifier, which is a great idea. Actually, I love the idea of actually getting the car. You've got to be on the track. You've got to go a certain speed. But yes, the idea is don't hit someone, don't get an instant point, don't come off the track. I mean, as you see, the 25 car spinning right off the track, and that's the Jack Keithley Audi R3 according to the entry list, so RS3. But then, of course, it gets more complicated because you actually have to start taking part in races. So first of all, you prove you can be a bit like your Arcs, isn't it, really? First of all, you can prove you can go reasonably fast and not make a horrible mistake, and then you have to start racing, and that's when the problems happen.
I tell you, we've got a smattering of real-world racers here with experience in these 350 horsepower front-wheel drive machines. TCR has done for touring car racing what GT3 and GT4 has done for the GTs and become a global formula. 4 or 5 doors, front-wheel drive only, and the variety of manufacturers, some of which we see here in Europe in terms of selling cars, some that we don't, like the Lincoln Co, for example. Far Eastern manufacturer based in China, part of the Geely Group, and these guys have taken to this to use it as a marketing platform. Norbert Mikulits for Hyundai in the Elantra NTCR, new for 2021. The Elantra, that's the third different body style we've had from Hyundai Motorsports in the past couple of 3 seasons. Started off with the hatchback i30, went to the Veloster N, which has won championships in the USA with Brian Herter Autosport. That one's a bit cheeky because it's got 2 doors on one side, one on another, and a hatchback, so it just squeaks in of having, yes I know, you look at it on the driver's side, Nick, and you think, hang on a second, Heinz just told me that it needs 4 doors or 5, and that's only got 1 door and a hatchback, but it's got 2 doors. It's one of those asymmetric designs. The Elantra is the new version. So just waiting for the times to come through, as coming round now, the number 97, it's one of the Lincoln Co cars.
Unfortunately, it's one of the numbers that's not actually on the...
okay, so have we had a number change there?
There's been a number change, yes. The Lincoln Co's are down as number 31 and 55 of Tom Bunton and Adam Princess. They are the Lincoln Co driver. Also Jack McIntyre as well in the 30, but that's saying 97. So
right, okay, so that get you. That is Jack McIntyre in the 97, so there's a change from your programme. This is just like real life, isn't it?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
We should get Paul over, shouldn't we, to read out all the programme.
Yeah, absolutely. If I can only find it.
Pen that works.
Pen that works.
Yes, that's the bane of anybody who's suddenly thrust into an immediate quick change artiste. You're talking about the real world drivers, of course, the 17 car, which is being run by Nathaniel Berthon, of course, who we were watching 10 days ago at Barcelona, because he was trying the new the team running the new GT3 Evo 2 version of the Audi R8 LMS. So Nathaniel also obviously takes part in the something in me, isn't it? The You and Me or something. What's it called? The yellow TCR car he drives with DHL sponsorship.
Yeah.
With one of the Coronels. Is it Tom or Tim? It's Tom, isn't it, Coronel? And it's something in me. He's obviously established very heavily in the TCR, but also an Audi Works driver, and I'm sure trying to make his case for all sorts of Audi drives that come up in the future, John.
So, top of the shop at the moment with a 207.4. That is the number 19. And that's a change as well then.
Yes, it's Nagy, who's officially has 99, but now has 19.
Okay.
Winning a pen as well.
There's gonna be a lot of writing on there. That's Daniel Nagy, the Hungarian driver for Cupra. McIntyre, as we know, Jack McIntyre's now number 97. Then Norman Mikulits. Now he's now gone from 5 to 1 in the Hyundai. In the number 10, it's Bebo Girolami, so that's another change of number. Oh joy.
His brother's in 6th, isn't he? Or his relatives in 7th, sorry.
What's Fred Verveesh in the 5? That's a change of number as well. So all of the numbers have changed from the start list that you might have seen published. We'll work that out as we go.
Florian Bauer's now in the 4, not the 18. as they qualify. My guess is, was the betting all good? All the numbers changed back to the correct one when they actually got the race.
Well, I've scribbled them out.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have scribbled them out, should I? I should have just left them so that I can read them underneath.
I've made the same mistake. I scribbled out.
Very tight at the top, as you might imagine, just 0.05 of a second. Jack McIntyre up in the second place ahead of Mikulits now. Then Perugino Alami just going across the line. Nice to see the variety of cars as you tend to do in TCR categories, because TCR, a category that was built for sprint racing, but has also in our world very much become a staple of endurance racing as well, whether it's with IMSA in the Michelin Pilot Challenge, in the Hankook 24-hour series with Creventic, racing all the way up to 24 hours, and indeed there is a specific a specific endurance race for TCRs held at Spa, which we've covered in the past. I'm not sure when it was conceived that anyone would think that these little sprint cars would be being used as they are, but they certainly have been, and it has gone very well indeed. Improvement there by... Now, who was that jumping up? That was Barr jumping up, wasn't it? Florian Barr, the Kowana driver, in another one of the Hyundai Elantras. So Hyundai, Audi, Peugeot 308, along with the FK7 Civic, the Lincoln Cores, and Nick very excited to see the Leon competitions, and the Alfa Romeo Giulietta Veloce, which has had a win, had a class win in the US.
Oddly, never taken off in Europe. The European
looking car.
The outside of the official TCR World Championship, the other series have been very much dominated on the whole, haven't they, by the various VAG group cars, be it the Seat, be it the Volkswagen, which is still being developed, despite Volkswagen saying they're pulling out of track racing, non-electrical base, and of course the Audi, all made on the same production line in Spain, on the Seat, on the Cupra now, not Seat, the Cupra production line. But that has been the bread and butter, hasn't it, those various VAG groups. We see the occasional interloper, but when you get to the proper TCR, the World Championship TCR, you get this much broader range. So perhaps it's the case that the Lincoln Co and the Alphas hadn't quite developed their 24-hour packages, but they've got a bit of longevity built into them.
4 drivers at the bottom have not yet set a time, and that being Stefan. I know Stefan has. Bernatix has set a time in the Peugeot, and there is one of them going up to 9th position in the Cupra. And where's that gone now? That's Adam Pintes. Now he's changed from a Lincoln Co, because that I'm pretty certain. Now, is that a Lincoln Co logo? Might be. With that, no, that's a Cupra logo, definitely. So he's definitely in the Cupra. So that's another change from your entry list.
Big run up the Emanuele Cardinale has moved up in the Alfa Romeo. He's finally put a lap in, up to 7th. For those of you joining us and just watching now with the pictures and sound here, we are at the Nurburgring Grand Prix tracker. So we're at the Grand Prix track. They're using the tighter first chicane, which is actually the Formula 1 chicane. When the endurance cars came here, they used to use a slightly looser chicane at this point in the track. A little bit quicker, about a second a lap quicker. This is a much more of a stop, start, go, whereas you can actually flow through the second part, which is the second chicane. They're using the full Mercedes Arena, because there's about 5 different versions of that. And if any of you follow the NLS, you'll know it's a completely different version. They use the N24. And it's very confusing, because sometimes you're turning very sharp right, and sometimes you're turning slightly sharp right. It's terrible.
Very... Fred Vervees just locking it up as he goes across the line to end his lap, which took him into 8th position, 1.3 seconds off the time at the moment. Really nice to see the big numbers on the screen, which is fabulous, and makes life a little bit easier.
So qualifying has finished, and they're now moving into a warm-up period.
Okay.
2 or 3 minutes. It may well get skipped ahead, and we'll go into the race. So they come out, running out.
Oh, hang on! I'm here. They're now going to. This is now qualifying.
Right.
So that was a warm-up period.
So you've got 8 minutes of qualifying. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay, so that was a wee bit of practice. Now we've got qualifying. Just hearing that from race control. Thanks, guys.
So some bonus coverage to begin with.
Well, yeah. maybe we weren't supposed to be talking.
That's hard to stop you talking, John. If there's cars on the track, you're not going to stop talking.
Interesting to note on the back of the Audis. Let's wait to see the next time we see the picture on the Audi. Yeah, that is actually the Evo version of the RS3 that's just come out, and it has the reverse swan neck on it, the same as the Evo version of the Audi R8 that we saw being debuted at Barcelona. You were standing right next to it, and look at how that changes, how the rear wing is mounted. It brings it much closer to the back of the car and the rear windscreen, which cleans up the airflow. Also, you haven't got those pesky wing mounts in front of the airflow going onto the rear wing. So that's brand spanking new. That's the new RS3 LMS that TCR that's been released by Audi. So great modelling by the guys to get that in so early.
Yeah, because remember this package we released for consumer picking up on the Assetto Corsa platform. I think it was October the 7th, was it? I think it was the date. It certainly came up in the first couple of weeks of October. You'll be able to download this and enter the SimRacing GP competition, which is a €10,000 prize fund, and far more importantly, the overall winner gets to drive one of these things in 3 dimensions for real. Great
cars to drive. Through goes the 07. Who is that then? We scan down. Not sure. No, is that the 97? Is that just my bad eyes?
No, that's a 07.
All right, so which hasn't got a name on it.
Yeah, that's a good start, isn't it? There isn't a 7 car on the side. So, you know, this happens.
It's all right. We'll catch up with it. We'll catch up with it.
So they've had an outlap, hence the reason the times are 13 seconds off a fast time. So they've all had their outlaps. I'm not overly sure that qualifying in a queue of traffic is a great idea. Just to try and make themselves a little bit of room. Not a track really where a toe works for you either, is it, John? Because you've got so many. The only fast bit is preceded and ended by some very tight corners. So you actually want to be out on your own, 3 or 4 seconds of clear space. They know where they're mucking about, and just get down and do your own way. So I'm surprised they are quite as backed up together as they are, but I'm sure they'll sort themselves out.
So now I am confused, as that's showing a 07 on the screen. We've got Norby's time up, as if that was running at the time.
It is Norby, but he is car 1, but for some reason it's printed as 7 on the outer limits of the car.
And it hasn't got his name on it either, which is on the rear, and it's not in the Hyundai colours either, so I wonder if the livery just hasn't uploaded yet.
Ah, yes, it could be a...
See, something we don't have to worry about in the real world.
We've never seen
something. You wander around the paddock, you see the cars, they're not likely to change by the time they come on the track, except for the addition of gaffer tape, perhaps.
Exactly, which is the best addition of all, as you know. So Norby already quicker in Sector 2. Sector 1 obviously is going to be quicker because that was the outlap and he was just trundling down the pit lane.
All right, we'll take a short break from what's going on. Back in a second. So a spin for one of the Audis in the background with just under 3.5 minutes to go.
Times in now, John, and Jack McIntyre was, I was about to say, was held the lead, but he's actually been usurped almost immediately by the Cupra of Daniel Nagy. 207.5, he's got 300ths over Jack McIntyre, and then there's a very, very, very close for third as well with the Girolami brothers. It's Bebu Girolami who's in third, and then in half a second back to Norbert Michelisz, who looked pretty quick.
Yeah, I just mentioned Jack McIntyre there, driving for Team Rocket RGN. Bob and Liz Neville looking after those in the real world. I mean, being involved, I suppose you would say, with real world and also sim events for such a long time in esports, because they were the people behind the Nissan GT Academy. They were the people who had to train the drivers for the real world, and now teamed up with Jensen Button as well, of course, or have done in the past. So it's good to see RJN Esports here with Jack McIntyre in the 97 in the Lincoln Court colours. Later on this weekend, I'll be commentating Ningbo for the Carrera Cup Asia in one-to-one real world racing. Full metal, as Bruce Jones coined it earlier on, and they've got a big Link and Co development area there, and the fact the track's owned by Geely, one of 5 that they've just opened in China. Real big player now on the international automotive scene, and driving motorsport through their Link and Co brand. Spinner at the final chicane there. Sorry, final chicane. Good to see the proper touring car lines being used by Jack McIntyre. 85.030 of a second to get in front of Daniel Nagy in the Cupra. Comes across the line, doesn't improve.
I think he had to get past a bit of traffic in that lap, actually, John. So he's now giving himself one final lap with a minute to go. They'll be allowed to get across the line. He's giving himself a little bit of free air. So I don't think they've all been that sensible with the spacing themselves out, but they give themselves a bit of free air, trying to go for it. But not sure obviously how they've modelled the tyre wear, but 3 or 4 laps should be fine for the front wheels of these cars. They shouldn't be going off too badly.
85 is Enzo Fazi in the Peugeot 306, another car that we haven't seen an awful lot on the world stage, but I mean suits the TCR concept very well.
We saw a version of 308, didn't we? Which was
sorry, did I say 306?
Well, it's fine because that's our era. We saw the 308 with in preventive racing. We run through with the one of the teams. They had a couple of them there. They were, of course, they were effectively
Cup cars
bopped back into TCR. They
yes.
didn't actually meet all the TCR regulations, but they bopped them in there, and they were very, very competitive. They were a very well run team by the brother of someone. Completely escaped me now as I wrench back in the back of my head.
Are you not thinking about Jakob Christensen, are you?
No, it was
because they ran a Peugeot as well.
They did, yeah. I mean, it was a good car. It ran for a couple of seasons, and it was Sayari's brother, wasn't it?
Of course it was. Yeah.
So they haven't been around for the last year or so, but it was an interesting.
Adam Pin says then. I think that is in the 55.
Yeah, that's a Honda he's driving.
That is a Honda. Well, I thought on the screen earlier on he had a different.
He's down as Lincoln Co. I'm wondering whether I think there may have been a little bit of
Well, he's got a Cooper badge next to his name in 12.
So, do you not feel it's a bit of an unfair advantage driving 3 cars at once?
If he's just he's shape shifting. He's TCR shifting.
Is he assessing all the chassis as we go?
As we go. Absolutely
on
right.
The first 3 corners in one car.
Improvement for Fred Vervish up to 8th position with a 208. Second off, and the checkered flag is out.
McIntyre did get the pole back again. Went to 207.438, got it by 6 tenths per second.
Luca Ragusa in the 02 Alpha Giulietta. What else could he be driving? I haven't scribbled names out now. I'm just writing them next to it. 85 is Enzo Fazi. So he comes across the line, the red, white and blue car. So we've set the grid. Not sure that satellite truck should be parked where it is there. I think that's a bit in the firing line.
Do you think so? Yeah. Some of them, honestly, they really need to work that out. Just get the marshals out to move that.
Beautiful afternoon at the virtual Nurburgring Grand Prix Strecke. All the way down to the Dunlop hairpin at the bottom of the circuit. So the classic version of the track up through the Schumacher S's. We're going straight into the race here. So we'll set the grid for you. And make sure that everybody is ready to go.
Pleasant day, 23 degrees, and the tarmac is at 30, so it's a good average racing day in the German countryside.
So this is the invitation race to preview the new TCR Virtual Championship. You can download the requisite bits and pieces from the 18th of October from SimRacing GP. There's a mod on there. No fast laps to be done. You've just got to compete in a 10-minute race with no incidents, and that will get you in. Then the competition begins on a regional level. Plenty of races spread over a couple of weeks that run 24/7, and then we'll head into the regionals, and eventually, if you are good enough, you'll get through to the final, where, as well as a share of a €10,000 top prize, or €10,000 cash prize, should I say, there's a drive in a TCR car up for grabs. I'd love to know where that was, what circuit that was on. So the grid is being formed up, and this will be a clutch start. So standing start, still the purview of touring cars. We were having this discussion the other day, actually, over an adult beverage. What do we think is the most, outside of Formula cars?
Mm-hmm.
What do we think is the championship that has the most international standing that still does clutch starts? And the two that we thought of straight away was Porsche Carrera Cup and Super Cup, and also Repco Aussie Supercars.
Oh, of course, yeah. I'll be very, very, awkward now and say, well, the obvious answer is MotoGP.
Very good. Well, we didn't say 2 or 4 wheels, and that's a world championship. So, very good. Very good.
Well, yeah, but no, it's interesting. There is
Rallycross World Championship.
There is a lack of clutch starts, and there's good reasons for it in a number of championships. In fairness, because it limits both massive wear and limits the chance of some instance in some of these areas where you, especially in endurance racing, where you'll start the race with people of very different talents, won't you? Depending whether they start with the pros or the gentleman drivers of the various classes. So I think it's a wise decision as they get ready to go. Engines revved up. 25 minutes for this first of 2 races. So the second race will have its own separate qualifying session.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to redo me grid sheets here. So Jack McIntyre, it would appear, and Daniel Nagy on the front row from Bero Girolami and Norbert Mikulits, and that would make Daniel the best of the real world drivers. Behind them, it is the Alpha with Luca Ragusa for WSC Esports and Ben Baumann. Ben's in the 15, so that's 16 and 15. Right, okay, they've changed numbers twice now. Come on, guys. You're just trying to confuse me. I'm a bear of a small brain anyway. 85 is next up, which is the Peugeot. Which we spoke about earlier on, the Farsi car. Right, let's write that up there. And he's got, well, whatever it is that Adrian is driving. Pences is driving. Cupra, we think, but we've seen his name against a couple of other things at the moment. Then the other Girolami in the 11. That's Franco for PSS Racing Team in the Honda. And as we go back down through the field, it's then Fred Vervisch in the Audi. Then Schallenberg. Right, so that's another addition in the 17. And that's another Cooper, apparently. Then Gueza, Danny Gueza for Kwana. And what number's he? Just lost him there, 8. Okay, that's another Elantra. Further back, we're getting to some of the guys at the back here. And right at the back, round the corner, is Emanuele Cardinale in the white with the tricolore colours. And he's on the back of the grid for Alpha. Just ahead of him is the 22 on the timing tower, 25 on the car. So some of those numbers not matching.
By the way, there's 297 as well, so let's just leave that one there, shall we?
Okay.
Sorry, there's 397, so let's leave that one there.
Okay. It's bingo. It's TCR bingo, and frankly, having seen TCR, we could have them scattered everywhere as if you'd bounce ping pong balls.
First corner could be a full house. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Who's got the line, the corners, and the full house? Stand by, 25 minutes plus a lap, or depending where you are, of course, when that 25 minutes is expired. The 2-litre engines, 4-cylinder, all of them, producing somewhere in the region of 350 horsepower in the real world and modelled exactly here for TCR Virtual. As we're ready to go racing, bit of wheel spin, some good starts, and right at the back there, that Cupra getting a very good getaway, but none better than our leaders. And McIntyre converts from pole position. Nagy just punched back a little bit in the Cupra.
Maybe Girami was lent on very, very heavily by Norbert Mikkelsen as they went round the first corner and leaned him off slightly.
Yeah, big loser, I think, was Dan. No, there's Daniel again in second place. He's sitting in behind that light blue Lincoln Cup. Further down the field, the battles are on. Let's keep an eye on what's going on at the front, because those are the guys at the moment where, big sideways movement. One of the FK7 Hondas that went sideways, unfortunately, or fortunately should I say, didn't go off the circuit. Bit of alpha hit the shoulder there, going on in the middle of the pack.
Oh,
and that's
missed braking point there.
Yeah, that was Franco. Benjamin Baumann was the man that was leaning on him in the alpha with the dark stripes down the middle. He's dropped all the way at the back now.
Took them both off the side there at the Dunlop curve, and that was really nasty. Easy to do because you've got cold tyres. It does model the cold tyres, and once you've locked the front end, you might think, I'll just cadence brake. But at that point, you're going way too fast. That was Fred Vervish who actually did it. He came off and came down on the 36, just lost the braking point entirely. Looks like got away without too much damage, but it's difficult, and once you've lost it, I get the impression just couldn't get it back. And now the three-way fight in the middle of the field, just behind the 44 machine, and then they hit the chicane for the first time. They come a very short run up before you go around the Coca-Cola curve to start a new lap at the GP circuit. German Grand Prix for many a year, though obviously recently, due to the financial problems of the actual circuit owners, we haven't seen the Grand Prix there. We have continued to see the best of endurance racing with the NLS and the N24. Again, from the back, and again, the braking on the 36 car of Vision again. He's got it wrong again. He's got it. Put it this way, he certainly wouldn't qualify with a 10-minute clear race. It's two people, is it already, John? So there's no chance of that car getting through. Audi Sport as they go around the Mercedes arena. I think there's a lot of people who find it difficult. I mean, this isn't because this is a new class, it's a new mod. People are trying to find their braking points in a race. And the braking point in your race is very, very different braking point in qualifying. It's the first time they've been out there. And I genuinely don't think people do this trying to be dirty or nudgy at this point, trying to work out, where do I brake? I've got a little bit of aero effect. Hang on. And that's what's been happening. Very messy Vervision things, I think it is.
What I can tell you without any fear of contradiction is the man who's driving for Team Rocket RGN in Sport in the Lincoln Cup, Jack McIntyre, with the Union flag alongside his name, is leading by a healthy 0.6 of a second from Daniel Nagy in second position. Norbert Mikkelsen third in the first of the Hyundais. Three different manufacturers in the first three. Make that four in the first four, because Bebo Girolami is next up. Then it's Farsi, one of the additional drivers to what we were expecting. So wherever he's been hiding he's like under a bushel.
He's been practicing in hiding.
Yeah, practicing in hiding. And that makes it 5 in the top 5. The first repeat manufacturer is the Pinces car, the Cupra, in 6th position.
So Bebo Girolami is trying to get up the inside of Norbert Mikkelsen to fight through the chicane.
Look for that.
Yeah, I think perhaps I won't bother, but there's another lap. We'll get a little bit of a toe down the straight, not enough, but will he try and throw one into the first corner? The really, really tight hairpin. It's one of the most difficult corners on any circuit. You come in at such amazingly high speed. you've got 3 or 4 choices of a line, and then there was a bit of a feint to it, but no, because it just managed to stop in time, runs through the, and he gets a nudge. Well, that's only fair, 'cause he nudged everyone else so far, but carries on, managed to keep the position, so that would have been a little bit of an incident, but they would have got away with it, no harm, no foul. But yeah, I mean, that first corner at the Nurburgring Grand Prix Track, really tough, something like, and the wet, it's impossible, I think, personally.
Somebody of our talent.
Well, yes.
Clearly.
Yes.
Absolutely, clearly.
Just pitch it and hope, and then I'll lose a couple of seconds rather than falling off.
So battles further down the field. We're trying to identify as many of the cars as we can. Audis versus the new for 2021 Elantra, which is the 4-door hatchback version of Hyundai's TCR. Watching the 11th place car at the moment on the timing tower, number 14, that's the tricolore coloured Alpha, actually has 02 on the car. 14 and 2, 16. Is that what it was originally?
Cardinale, isn't it?
Yeah, was that originally what I was on the...
It's a Manuel Cardinale. I'm pretty sure that is a Manuel Cardinale. I think that...
No, it is. Yeah. It's the Romero Ferrari C Sport car. Now, Daniel Nagy in second place.
Proper Cooper colours as well, that kind of bronze. That's their launch colour, isn't it? When they bring out new cars, it always brings out that bronze. They've kind of made bronze their own, really. Often you have to specify the special bronze wheels as well if you're buying yourself a Cupra. It's spun off from the Seat brand, but now trying to produce unique machines on various VAG platforms. And I think that third place, maybe she's lost a huge amount of momentum by taking too much curb there. That's given a chance for Bebu to have a real look up the inside. He's going to be really, really close. Is he going to throw it down the first hairpin? As close as you can be. Bebu's stalking the arm because there's a block on the inside there. Clever move.
It's the only way. It's the only way. Long run down, really difficult downhill and curved. That he was having his moment beforehand.
Yeah. No, but the under. What happened was Bebu went for the under over, but because he hadn't cleared the position at that point, because he was braking, he got through. So we've seen a change for the final place on the podium, and we have to try and think about how I'm going to get that back again. But I think it's absolutely a case with this new cars, new track, new design. It is easier to follow than to lead because you get a little bit of picture where you want to be. I think it's a pretty impressive stuff so far by the programs. They're looking like they're handling what they should do. They're looking like TCR cars. We saw that 77 car save the spin earlier. He saved it the way you save the front wheel drive cars, nailed it. So they've got the handling absolutely right.
Luca Ragusa driving for the Romeo Ferrari C Sport team. And was that Ben, actually? That might have been Ben Bauman in that car. I thought Ragusa was driving for WEC Esports, but have Ferraris on the side of that car. McIntyre is pulling away at the front. That's the thing you need to know in terms of Jack McIntyre for Team Rocket, who the RGN Esports driver, the only driver from that team. And at the moment he's showing everybody a clean pair of tyres, and they are staring at the back of that blue Lincoln Court, disappearing off into the distance. Lincoln Court 03. Internecine battle between Audi further back down the field, which has to be Fred Vervish and Grazer. There's only two Audis that are together. So that is the battle for 11th and 12th position. Vervish at the moment with a 2/10 lead. Forget about the numbers on the car. Oh, big punch from Grazer. Oh man. Danny Grazer for Caruana with the real world TCR. It will be, I think, Vervish, who, well, I was going to say, it's big lock up. It's the unloaded front. It's the unloaded front right tyre as you're going down the hill there, because it falls away, Nick. So, I mean, you've been around the Nurburgring Nordschleife, you've not been around the Grand Prix Strecker, I don't
Only
think.
virtually.
All right, I have in real life, and it's perfectly modelled. because as you're coming down there, you're slightly turning to the right as the right-hand curve comes in. It's falling away, and it falls away further to the apex of turn 1.
Yeah, I've been watching these two Audis. I mean, what I would say is, looking at the cars on the track, it does seem like you've got a pretty impressive and forgiving time model there, because they're able to actually run the cars to a slight limit, which is but still bring it back. There's none of that kind of snap and it's gone. It's kind of the ability to kind of drive the car to a limit. Oh, I've gone slightly off, get it back. And it might be, of course, the element of the front wheel drive modelling. Of course, always the rear is going to look loose and it's going to look on other cars. But they are able to race really, really closely and really, really well. And also, the interesting thing is that when someone gets a little bit of a tap on the back, they're modelled so they don't suddenly spear off.
Okay.
So they manage to keep it going.
At the battle for fourth, I think, with Mikulits, Farsi and Pinces together, I'm having to do me Mensa test and work out which groups of cars are together. But I think that's the only three where we've got Hyundai and
Alpha.
Peugeot together.
It's Hyundai from Alpha.
Oh right, no, it's Hyundai from Alpha. No, so that must be further down. So it's Fiduci, Baumann and Lunatics. Sorry, apologies.
And the Alpha's passed.
Yeah. So that was for 12th position. Jack McIntyre still leading, just stretching that lead out by another 10th last time around. 14 minutes to go, so not yet down to half distance. Robert Mikulits having a battle on his hands at the moment as well.
I'm liking seeing the drivers trying different lines. They are exploring as we go, aren't they?
Very TCR.
It's like, let's see what I'll try and get the drive, because it's all really about the drive out, isn't it? It's all about, if I can get the drive out, then the run down, then the lunge, effectively. The measured overtaking move.
You do like a lunge.
Well, that's a nice lunge. So down the bottom of the hill here, it's very hard to get past the Dunlop curve, though.
So Mikulits looking at the back of Girolami in the battle for third. Honda FK7 versus Hyundai Elantra. We're down the hill. Watch for the road coming in from the right. That's a good sign of where you are on the track. There's a little escape road to the left, and the right, but it's the left-hand side just before the curb. So that's one of your braking markers. Now they're starting to climb the hill. This actually, if you have to walk or cycle up this hill, this is quite steep as you're coming up here now. That drop to the Dunlop hairpin is quite marked into the Schumacher S. New documentary about Michael Schumacher just released this week with you in it.
I am vocally in it.
Were you not in Vision?
No, and I reckon I'm the only person who's not got a credit, because everyone else is vocally and he gets a credit, like Murray and...
Oh really? Maybe they didn't know who you were.
But I think it's probably because I started my life away when I started to perform, and I just become disembodied voice number one.
So still this battle for third place. Girolami, Mikulits, a little bump and run there. Can he get down the inside as they're coming to the last right-hander in front of the Dorrance Hotel? We'll take a break from this in a moment and come back with the last half of the race in TCR Virtual. into the second half of the race, 10 minutes to go, and watching a fabulous battle just outside the top 10. Baumann in the Alpha. Let's jump up to the front of the field where Norbert Mikulec is still trying to get ahead of Beru Girolami. They're coming onto the start-finish straight now.
Mikulec lining him up for a move on the inside into turn 1. Now is Girolami to take the defensive line. This is how the position swap last time, where Girolami came back up the inside. Both of them lock up the rear right, and it's exactly the same result, apart from the fact that in fact Mikulec doesn't get as good a drive out as Girolami did, so it stays as they are. Norbert stays in 4th, Bebu stays in 3rd.
Fastest lap of the race last time around for the Hyundai. The battle that was on screen not so very long ago, just outside the top 10. It's the 12th position car, the Dici car.
With Bebu Girolami, he sees an empty track in front of him, which is good because it hasn't got Norbert ahead of him. It's bad because he can't see second place. He's now almost just shy of 4 seconds off Daniel Nagy, so that's not good. Jack McIntyre a further 1.5 seconds up the road and looking comfortable.
Look at how many lock-ups we're getting here. Now, in the real world, and certainly the same for the no ABS on these cars unless you take them into touring, into long-distance racing, where over an hour you're allowed the ABS package on the cars. But I've got to say, having driven the early version of the Audi, there's so much downforce that until the very end of the braking, and how many times have we noticed this, you've really got to rotate them if you're going to lock the tyres up. Right, this is the battle for 5th and 6th here. Fazi and Pinces. Peugeot versus Cupra. Peugeot getting the run down the outside. The car that's numbered 85 on your screen. And that is Fazi's car. Excellent. Goes through on Pinces in the Cupra.
With Girolami in a watching brief to try and pick up the pieces of these two come together. That changed twice in 3 corners. It changed into the Michelin curve and then changed again into the NGK chicane.
Yeah, that's Adam Pinces, the Koana driver. Big teams here this weekend, Race Department, Jazz Motorsport, Rail World teams as well, of course. WSC Esports, Race Department, all here. And don't forget, you can be racing as well, 18th of October. Download the mod from SimRacing GP for Assetto Corsa. Dead easy to get involved, and big prizes up for grabs. McIntyre with a 2.5 at the front of the field. Then the battle further down. Peugeot leads Cupra, leads Honda. With Girolami just latching onto the back now, making that a 5-car battle for 5th. Leaving a lot of Michelin rubber on the circuit at the moment. Just under 7 to go, 7 minutes to go.
A little bit of still brakes grabbing, lines drifting out, but of course they're able to correct the lines quite easily as they move out with on the front wheel drive car. Just put a bit of extra locking, a bit of extra power, pull the car back on the line. And then there's a mistake, and off goes Fazi. He's going to lose a couple of places there. He just kind of twitched the thing off the track, and he managed to get back on again, which was impressive, but he still lost the place. Princess takes over. Girolami in this queue as they race up towards the Michelin curve. The sharp, quite quick left-hander can catch you out though. There's a danger of over-rotation as you come back. It's just over 90 degrees. You come back on yourself before you then sweep back another just over 90 degree turn. Oh, up the inside there, looking for some danger. Just lost it, oversteered. I'm really impressed they managed to get drive back there. Just held it and found a lucky bit of extra tarmac, didn't he, to get a bit of purchase on there. Managed to then get an even better drive. And then right at the backside.
No lesser light in Rail World Motorsports than Mr. Yost, as I used to call him. Said he would always rather be lucky than good. It was my contention that the better you are, the luckier you get, to be honest. And they made their own luck, didn't they? Alan McNish once said to me, I don't believe in luck when you're racing, it's just how well you prepare. So, looking forward from Fazi to Girolami. That Honda's quick in a straight line, but not quick enough to get past the Cupra, I don't think, and that's allowed Farsi to go down the inside and take 2 places in 1, not quite. Comes down at turn 1. So the Cupra bumped back. Adam Pinzas.
Oh, door handling through the Mercedes arena.
Do you know what?
Running him out, beautifully ran him out there. Beautiful bit of work there by Girolami.
I'm just going to usher you gently out to the left-hand side here, where you're going to run out.
Oh, there's hold it. Front wheel drive. That rear wheel drive cars have gone round. One has gone round into the barrier, but they held it. That was drifting. That
was Adam.
That had got 9.0 from the drifting judge. They held it in beautiful parallel. But unfortunately, the second knock took one of the cars out. I'm trying to remember he was dropping down really quickly, but I think it was maybe Farsi, but he ended up in the barrier.
So a little bit of a touch. They both go right. You floor the throttle, and then there's a second touch.
Yeah. Oof.
Adam continues, and I think
that was Farsi.
We got Farsi back on.
Back into ninth, yeah.
Yeah.
There was some good avoidance by one of the tricolour-coloured Alphas as well.
That was Ragusa, I think, coming through. That was Luca Ragusa, the WSC eSports driver, who managed somehow to avoid all of that. TCR Virtual, 3 minutes to go. Check that, 4 minutes to go. Take one more break from the action before we take you all the way through to the checkered flag. Got a second race to go, of course, on this, as we're not seeing too much of Jack McIntyre in the Lincoln Court, but in second place Daniel Nagy's just put the fastest lap in and closed down to just on a second. Well, it's not even that now as they go around the first corner.
So it's pulled back from what 1.7 it stretched out to. Now whether that's a little bit of a mistake by Jack we didn't see, or whether Daniel's discovered some end of race pace, who knows.
Well, let's keep an eye here on what's going on at the front of the field. It's gone back up to 1.3 seconds with 3 minutes to go. Right, we're into the business end of this one now. 2.5 minutes to go. McIntyre from Nagy. It's still, what, a second?
Yeah, I mean, there must have been a little error of half-second error we didn't see from McIntyre, but it's obviously given Daniel a massive sniff of a chance now.
Meanwhile,
down to
15th position. I'm watching the Bunatic Stahl. Sebastian Stahl
from
Stefan Bunatics.
In the background, it's Antonio Berton, the real-world Audi RS3 driver, just drifting down this virtual race.
Berton about a couple of seconds further back at the front of the field. Daniel catching Jack for the lead with 90 seconds on the clock. Now, what we haven't been made privy to, Nick, is what tyre deg model is running here.
Yes.
And I just wonder if
we're still seeing fastest laps. I think they've obviously got enough for the despite the constant puffs of smoke, which are mostly coming from the rear, which aren't doing much work.
True.
They've obviously got enough grip in the first 20 minutes to run at pretty much full pace.
10th position for Vish with Grazer behind him as they go across the line. Minute to go, and it's hovering at around about a second at the front of the field. The two new Audi Sport branded RS3 Evos with that new rear wing. So I do take notice of what Chris Renke and the guys from Neustadt send through.
Yeah, certainly the bodywork on the second of the cars, which is the Bauer machine, so it's Giza machine, is looking a little bit tired, so they'll have a lot of work to do in between the first two heats. Well, they'll just press F9, obviously, to get the thing back looking pristine again. So It's been a race-long battle between these two cars, Vervish and Giza, both modelled with a similar number, but they are running actually in numbers 5 and number 8. But there's been no great winner. The lead, as they come round to what should complete the penultimate lap, is just still 1.1 seconds. So we're now back up with 5th place, Girolami behind him, Ragusa in the Alpha.
So 1 gone, right. So where is our leader, Jack McIntyre? Because next time across the line, it will be the checkered flag. He's got 1.3, squeaked it back out to 1.3. The battle for 5th and 6th, Girolami and Ragusa. Franco Girolami for PSS, Real World Racer, right in behind him. Luca Ragusa for WSE Sports. Checkered flag is in the hand of our virtual flagman, and for the first time ever, TCR Virtual in this weekend of the ADAC SimRacing Expo, the Nurburgring Nordschleife and Grand Prix circuit, we have a winner. McIntyre goes through nearly 2 seconds at the end from the Cooper of Nagy in second, then Bibo Girolami for Jas. Norbert Mikulits, another real world driver, right up there from the second of the Girolamis, and then Ragusa, Cardinale, Pinces, Fazi and Giesa coming through in the Audi to make up the top 10. Well, first of all, Jack McIntyre, more than a little golf clap there. Absolutely. Converted his pole position, his front row start, and got away in the Lincoln Court and showed everybody a clean pair of rear Michelins. Yeah, Hankook,
exactly. Yeah, gave Daniel Nagy a bit of encouragement, but 2 laps to go by obviously having a little bit of moment, but the lead was always over a second. It eased out at the end. I think Daniel realised he wasn't going to get past. So the top 2 really went off the first 2 positions and then did their 11 laps and were very, very quick. They obviously managed to open up a list of Baby Girolami, a gap to Baby Girolami, but they were involved really from 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th down in quite active racing and fighting, which obviously would have slowed them down. But overall, yeah, I mean, a really impressive performance, good racing, good modelling. Cars look good on the track. They seem relatively resistant to basic incidents, which is always good if you're going to have a TCR race, because the whole point about a TCR race is leaning on each other, so you can't have the things getting very upset very quickly. Yeah, good action all the way down. I think the track works well for TCRs.
Well, I think we could have predicted that, couldn't we? We could have predicted that. So lap of honour for our first ever TCR Virtual winner, Lincoln Court, accurately modelled at the front of the field. We've seen them there plenty of times, haven't we? And congratulations to Jack and the Team Rocket RGN Esports. And reminder that from the 18th of October, you go to SimRacing GP, download the mod for Assetto Corsa, and then you could be off and running in a competition that could see you behind the wheel of a real world TCR in a test and taking a share of €10,000.
Well, I think both of those way beyond my talents, but I quite like the idea of either of them, to be honest. Try to drive more than the money. At my age, I want experiences, not cash. Yeah, leave that one there.
Damon, I'm just leaving that there. I'm leaving that there. Well done to all the drivers. They've given us plenty of entertainment there. And the top 3 then, from 3 different manufacturers. In fact, the top 4 from different manufacturers. Lincoln Court, Cupra, Honda, the top 3. The action will continue with perfect conditions overhead, a little bit of cloud. The drivers taking a deep breath and no doubt their favourite energy drink. Whereas Nick and I nip off for a sacred coffee. Thanks, Tubbs, for keeping us going. As ever, as part of the Radio Show Limited family of partners. So just waiting for everyone to return. I think Jack did drive all the way around.
Yeah, well, you've won. You may as well.
Yeah.
I insist on my lap of honour.
Just quit back to the pits.
Look at me, I've won.
You'd do that, wouldn't you?
Right. Why not have a virtual wave to the crowd? get their virtual cheering. I believe we can have another qualifying session now. That's
right.
what I think. I'm not obviously not going to bet my house on it, but I think we're getting another qualifying session, and then another 25-minute race to come up. I think the cars are
Cars are all in the pit lane.
Yeah, the car just popped out of the pit lane and is trundling down. This could be a bit of warm up. They've not gone with the graphics telling us it's time for qualifying, so they could be getting a couple extra lap in.
Cupra going out.
I think that was Daniel Nagy, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. At least we've got a bit of an idea now. So, just waiting with the drone shot all the way down the pit lane. You use drone shots in your kart coverage, your live kart racing coverage don't you?
Yeah, we have. It depends on the rules about whether you're allowed to use them when the karts are going round or not.
Well, we've had them in real world coverage from
Ricard.
Hankook 24-hour series,
Ricard, yeah.
And
Again,
I think in Italy as well.
Yeah, well, basically what you have to do is you have to fly. You aren't really supposed to fly them over the track themselves. You fly them next to the track at an angle, which actually makes them look like they're more over the track than they are.
Oh, wow.
I like the helicopters for F1 where, of course, it's fine because they think, well, the helicopter's not going to crash. Oddly, I think the drone is going to crash.
Well, in IMSA, it's all done from an aircraft now, which just flies. Light aircraft flies circuits.
Huh.
An aircraft that the registration is HELIO, which we all think is very funny that it's called Elio and it only turns left.
Hey,
it does. It just fly if you pick it up, the area on one of the flight.
I know this is obviously completely off topic, but why are they chosen to go to a plane away from a helicopter?
I expect it's a far sight cheaper.
Okay.
They stay up there and just cruise around and run a circle, and they run up all the comms as well to it and all the onboards. So learning from coverage of the infinite number of camera coverage that you can have from esports, I have to say it was a bit of a shock to the system for us when we went back to covering real Nurburgring Längsstrecke series, not to have the infinite number of cameras.
Well, you didn't have a camera at every single corner?
No.
And on every car?
No, absolutely.
Shocking.
Bruce Jones and I did the first series of DNLS by the guys at VCO, and when we went back to real world full metal racing on the Nurburgring Nordschleife, it was a bit of a shock to the system.
Oh no, I'm wrong. It's not a second. It's not a second.
It's touring cars.
Touring cars.
Remember, it's Saturday afternoon. Right. WWE World of Sport.
That's it. You need to wake up Martin. Then Martin and Matt. It's a reverse grid.
Right. So let's see if we can. If I'd only jotted down as they're finished. So Cupra on the front. From Alpha. From FK7 Honda. Then that's Hyundai on the right hand side, our right, as we're going down. I think that was Ben Bauman that was there. The 07 was Norby, wasn't it?
Yeah, there's third place in the first race.
Yeah.
Then Dan Nagy, and
there's our winner. That is Jack McIntyre with the right number on his car, the number 97. So then from 9th on downwards, it's basically where you finished.
Yes.
So these were some of the scraps that we were looking at earlier on. Fred Vervish in there for Audi. Nat Burton as well, a little further back than I think he would like to be. And this time, it's Lincoln Coors at the back.
A brace.
Yes. So now we have to see who can make up the positions. Another 25 minutes on the clock. So it is Adam Pinces on pole for Caruana, alongside Emanuele Cardinale in the Alpha for Ferraris Esports. Second row is Luca Ragusa. And then in the Honda, it is Franco Girolami for PSS. That's row 2. Norby we picked up on. Norby Mikulits in the Elantra NTCR. He's got 0.7 on his windscreen. Then Bebu Girolami for Jazz in the Honda. Then on row 4, it is Daniel Nagy for Cupra. And then Jack McIntyre for Lincoln Co. is the the winner from last time, and he is the 97. So that is the car where the timing tower and what's on the car does match. Behind them, then it's Farsi Grazer for Vish Baumann for Dushi Bunatik Stahl. I do want to call him Eric Stahler, but that's just because of the movie Le Mans. Sebastian Stahl, Berton, Nat the Snap Berton, then Schallenbe, Bauer, Spawn GTI, and T, our grid find right at the back.
I think that doesn't actually take part in the race.
Oh, right.
I think T grid find doesn't actually happen. I'm not sure Spawn GTI takes part either.
No, I thought I saw. Well, they're both 97, so that's the default, isn't it? So let's say we've got 18 cars, and if I see anybody else, we will let you know. 25 minutes on the clock, just waiting for race control to be ready. I hear engines in the background, which in any form of motorsport is good. And as we always say here on RSL, the tracks and the cars might be virtual, but the racing, the talent and the dedication is absolutely real. So if you are just joining us, welcome to TCR Virtual. This is the demonstration event as part of the ADAC SimRacing Expo at the Nurburgring, which is happening in real life. And will feature more racing across the weekend. We've got some endurance racing to come for you as well. And you could be on this grid. Here's the lights. 25 minutes on the clock. Rev the engine, drop the clutch and go racing for TCR Virtual. Oh, I like that. I'll have to write that down. For a great start. Now, as they come over the top of the rise and down towards turn 1, it's going to be the Alpha around the outside. Cardinale having a big look. Emanuele tries to squeeze through. A couple of Alphas right in there down the inside. Girolami, Franco for PSS. I think he got the better of the starts. He's still disputing second position. Pinchez goes through. No, Cardinale back into second. There's a couple of shortcuts going on there as well, including Daniel Nagy, who was right in amongst it there in the ginger-coloured Cupra.
Norby, not because it's a big loser there. He got hit by the returning or recovering Nagy, who said had reinterpreted most of the first 4 corners. And he's been fired off as in 12th. Nagy, he started 7th, is now into 8th. Jack McIntyre started 8th, obviously the winner previous, now to 6th. So he's gained a couple of positions, mostly from not just driving off the track. Nagy now trying to get something up the inside of the Dunlop curve, looking at Farzin, gets him, but can he stop the car?
Yes. So you can block pass. You can block pass at Dunlop. You can block pass at Dunlop because you don't have to get the middle apex. It's effectively a two apex corner. Get the first one, drift out in the middle, and then come back. And if you slow it down enough on the way in, you should be all right there. Even if you're half a car's width to a car's width away from the absolute middle of the corner, because that's not actually the apex there. So leading from the front row, Pincez in the Cupra, Girolami in second in the Honda. Then it's Cardinale and Ragusa, the 2 Alphas. Maybe Girolami coming through in the second of the Hondas there. Jack McIntyre, our race 1 winner, as Girolami and Cardinale are having a cracking run through there. Now, who was that? That was Cardinale running wide.
He got checked. He got side checked off the track going through the chicane, but then had to go through the weavy inny outy, and has ended up down in 7th because it's a very slow route. You go in and out of the virtual polystyrene blocks.
That's the NGK chicane at the end of the lap. Already a second and a half to the good, our leader. Big lock up, but don't worry about that. Oh, mistake on the brakes by Ragusa, and he's gone straight on, and there's carnage behind. All kinds of damage and touches going on there. Side by side for Baumann as well. And
Nat Berton got fired off. He made a really good start. Got fired right off into the side of the boot docks. He's now running last. The gloves are off in this one, aren't they?
They really are. So the leader braked, then the Alpha goes off, and behind that, Burton got absolutely nailed, coming down over the top of the brow, and as you say, dropping all the way back.
More battles there. That was another bit of fighting for the Alphas. The most, I think I've only seen an Alpha at sideways. I've not seen the Alpha on the track properly for the last lap.
2, 3 Alphas together in the midfield. Cardinale fighting back, and there's another big hit down at the bottom of the hill at Dunlop.
That was Vivish going off. Vivish, I don't know what on earth happened there. It looked like it was almost like he was trying to play pinball.
He had his Valtteri Bottas team orders there. Obviously, gets the 5 points for the plant and the pot.
And the 5 points for a penalty.
McIntyre, by the way, has fought his way cleanly up to 4th position from 8th. So there's clearly pace in this race, as there was in the last race. Now let's see what happened down at Dunlop. This was the battle for the middle of the top 10 towards the end of the top 10.
Lost it.
Vivish was off. He'd put his left-hand side Hankooks onto the dirt on the braking area and arrived at the turning point sideways and backwards, which I always think makes it difficult to get to the apex.
I think it's showing off.
Nagy with McIntyre goes to the outside on the start-finish straight. This will be the long way around, but can he tough it out there? And then he gets the inside turn number 2 over the top of the right into the braking area. It's all downhill, and you're slightly turning. Girolami in front of them kicks up a whole load of Hankook tyre. I was going to say dust there, but smoke, of course. That was absolutely super driving from Daniel in the copper-coloured Cupra.
McIntyre now, just didn't make the 6th corner overtake. Well, perhaps he has made the 6th corner overtake. They've been together now all the way through turn 1, all through the very complicated Mercedes arena. And they're going to nip down into the sharp left of the exit of the Mercedes arena. It hasn't got a name anymore, this corner.
Going downhill now. They are still side by side, so neither of them have had a perfect racing that fast. He's closing in on them, of course he is, in the Peugeot, the white car with the black and red on it behind. And he then has got Norbert Mikulits in there as well. You don't want to see Norbert Mikulits in your rearview mirror. Mikulits goes through in the white, black and red. It looks like it should be a Sunderland FC away strip there. There's Norby, 6th position, and he's charging up to the back of this battle for 4th. Nagy, McIntyre, Mikulits, Fazzi, Grace is just right in there, actually. Grace are in the Audi. He's not too far away. Lincoln Co in front of Norbert Mikulits, the blue car. That is McIntyre, winner of the first race, fought his way up to 4th from 8th. Getting away at the front, by the way, the Cupra of Adam Pincez from Franco Girolami in 2nd, but that's 2.5 seconds now, so he really has headed for the hills. And Bebe is right with 2nd place, 3/4 of a second further back.
Brothers together.
Yeah.
2nd and 3rd. Nagy and McIntyre lost themselves a huge amount of time having that argument.
Yes, they did.
And McIntyre now is right behind him, but Nagy was incredibly aggressive coming back through the Valvoline curve and the Ford curve, which is that kind of left-right before you go plunge down the hill. And realistically, he just lent him off the track as this huge plumes of smoke as once again McIntyre doesn't quite get up the inside of Nagy, and it looks like it's going to stay 3rd and 4th the same. And then behind them there's 4 more cars all trying to catch up. And I think the net effect as McIntyre gets up the inside of Nagy is that they are concertinaing back 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th.
Look at Fiducci here in the liquid molly coloured Hyundai. McIntyre now having a fight on 2 fronts, which if you've ever played Risk is always the dangerous thing to do. And never try and defend, never try and take Kamchatka. Never try and take. Don't fight on 2 fronts. Don't try and take Kamchatka.
I genuinely won't.
Right.
I'll literally not.
And it's very much the same in touring cars.
I've heard that. Yeah.
Nicky with McIntyre right up behind him, and again goes to the outside as they head around the Dunlop curve at the bottom of the hill. And the white car in behind them there, the white nose, is the Hyundai Elantra of Norbert Mikulits, who's just waiting to pounce. He'll be loving this. Then there's a bit of a gap opening up to the Peugeot. Fazzi. Oh, he's Norby. Norby's, he's got a sniff. Gets his nose down the inside of McIntyre, pushes McIntyre off at the Schumacher curves. They're side by side now. McIntyre not having any of that though, as they plunge down the hill. Coming up towards the NGK chicane at the end of the lap.
Norby lost a place in all that.
Yeah, he did.
So Fazzi's now got past him in the Peugeot. So Enzo Fazzi now has the problem. He's got Norby right up his inside as they come into the chicane. Going through the NGK chicane, and Norby gains the...
Totally touring car driver that, didn't he?
Oh, that was lucky.
Big hit, almost sends Norby into the pit lane entry. You don't want to be doing that.
But they're now, 3 seconds off. There's this battle, which is obviously headed by Danny Nagy and Jack McIntyre. They're 3 seconds off Girolami. They've just been left as flying down the front straight. It's a chance for McIntyre to try one more time to get past Nagy.
Round the outside, Danny Geza is the Audi on the back of that in 8th position, and Fedici's just gone by him. So places changing behind this gap. The only position that's not changing is the one at the front of this gap. Hang on, what's happened there? Who's pitted? That's Geza in the pits, is it?
No, those are the course cars in the pits. The 2 Audi R8 LMS.
Well, what happened to Geza there? He's dropped way back down.
Fazzi's dropped as well.
So they've come together.
And they're off somewhere.
So Girolami. No, the leader's gone. The leader's gone as well. We've lost the leader. That's what was happening. So the leader has gone. Pit says has gone. So has he had a disconnect?
Looks like it, because it's really, there's a few wobbling bits across the timing screen. We've got Geza apparently DNF but leading, then the Girolami's falling behind him, but now it's sorting itself out. And you're absolutely right, we've got Girolami from Girolami, so yes, it's been a case there.
Yeah, connection issues I'm hearing from race control. So let's pick up what we can see on the screen and give you the rundown. It's the 2 Girolamis, maybe from his brother. So that's Honda leading now from Franco in the second of the Hondas, and then I think it's Nagy who's made the best of this. Jack McIntyre remarkably still in 4th position after all of that. He was battling for 4th and 5th. He's up to 4th because of the problems, and a huge off there.
That's for Cardinale.
Cardinale again, and Alpha going through. Those virtual polystyrene things don't...
Quite stiff.
They don't act like the real polystyrene.
More kind of element of concreteness about them.
Yeah. Yes.
Right, together now, 3rd and 4th. Finally, Jack McIntyre has actually scored ahead across the line.
And has just put the fastest lap of the race in. Can he hold on? Downhill to turn 1.
His problem's Norbert.
Here comes
Norbert.
Norby down the inside. Loves that kind of move. He's been great on the brakes. They're on the grass. I think Nagy will get back through again in the queue.
McIntyre's dropped down. He's lost a position. He's gone from 3rd to 5th. It's not easy. It seems easy when you're at the front, isn't it? It's easy at the front. In the pack, not so much. Especially we've got Norbert around, who's I think Norby now is looking to do the inside outside through the arena and try and get the run down to the Valvoline curve. He's done it. I think Norbert's now scored in 3rd. McIntyre is side by side with Nagy as they go into the Valvoline.
So it was a big mistake first of all for Cardinale in the Alpha. He sort of took out the first up. The reason why he got through the virtual polystyrene was the virtual tyres actually did their
That's
job.
How tyres should react.
No, I have no issue with that at all. That is mega attention to detail. The only thing we didn't see was the polystyrene.
That'd be great. That's modelling we need. Absolutely. And then a bit stuck, and then the driver tries to claim nothing's happened.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's going into my car, John? What's all this in the front of the car? Ooh.
McIntyre is still having the battle with Nagy. It's back for 4th and 5th again, but it's Mikulits who's gone through.
And gapping.
He is just beginning to pull away, as gapping's not actually a word. You can't make a verb out of
How
gap.
is that not a word?
He's making a gap, or he's driving away.
He is increasing the gap.
Yes, okay. Is he at est then?
the gappiest.
Is he the gapper or the gappy?
Well, that's a very good question.
If you're going to make up words,
Let's make up a whole set.
McIntyre down the inside into the chicane, and he gets through. We're halfway through the race. We'll gather ourselves together with a dictionary and come back for the second half. Tortured sound of four-cylinder engines as we're into the second half of the race, and finally, finalement, we have got Jack McIntyre ahead of Nagy. Let's drop down to the bottom end of the top 10.
Still fourth.
Yeah, well, yes, he is still fourth because Norbert Mingelitz went through. Just on the outskirts of the top 10, another one of the Cupras, and that is the Florian Bauer Caruana car. I'd been expecting.
No, that's
sorry, he's sitting in 10th behind the Schallenberg Cupra. My apologies. So Schallenberg in 9th and the Hyundai in 10th position, showing the number 54 on the side. So don't worry about that. He's got the Luco colours on that car. That is a proper livery from WTCR. Battling for 9th and 10th there. Schallenberg in the Cupra.
That's a nice little move. He just walked him out the way, didn't he? Around the corner there. He comes down. That was in the Schumacher S. He walked him away. They're going to go sweep around the very fast Ad Van Bergen, which is and again another coming together.
Get your foot in. He's on the Cupra's on the inside here, so should be able to hold on.
Backed out.
Can't.
Backed out. I think he realised I'm having nobbled twice in 3 corners might let him get through and see what happens next.
I'm hearing from the Touring Car Drivers Association he's just filled there and he's been struck off for not just hanging it in there and throwing it up the inside.
Yes, this whole point, the one statement that's not allowed and not in the touring car vernacular is discretion is the better part of valour. There's no thing as discretion, there's just valour.
Matt Neils just sent me a text and said he'll never have a career if he's not throwing it up the inside there. And frankly, multiple touring car champion in the UK, Matt Neal, would know.
Unsurprisingly, Nagy and McIntyre are back at it again. It was a whole lap when they weren't trying to take each other off the track or get past each other. Nagy is currently behind as they just finished the stadium section and run down to the Valvoline curve.
Is Norby gaining on?
Yeah, but it's only
Franco,
3.8 to 3.3. He's gained half a second in 2 minutes.
I 10 minutes to go, mate.
He might make it, and certainly Girolami, who's 1.7 seconds behind his brother. Franco, 1.7 seconds behind his brother, Bebu. There's a big Girolami benefit at the moment. But Norby, he's got a bit between his teeth. He just needs to find a little bit more speed, or get a bit. Perhaps if the Girolamis have a bit of a fight between themselves, that might help.
2 seconds apart, those two at the moment are the better part of it as we're in the last 8.5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, Nicholas is gaining. I don't think, unfortunately, I don't think he's getting faster. We had the situation, obviously, at the start of the race where the top 3, unfortunately, we've since lost Alan Princess to a disconnect, disappeared off, whereas everyone else having the world's most massive scrap and slowing each other down. They got completely separated.
Look at the gaps between cars on the left-hand side of the screen. There's very few that's got a full second there. Here's another one, Italian Berthon, just losing a position to Luca Ragusa.
But he was dead last.
After that, when he got hit at lap 2, lap 2 I think it was, wasn't it?
So he's got himself into a competitive bit of fun. So he's been enjoying the race. That's what he wanted.
Why did Ragusa drop back? He was the one that went off and hit the virtual tyre wheel.
No, that was Girolami hit the virtual, but he got punted off earlier than that.
Really? I thought it was the 0-2.
No, I think it was Girolami did that. It was one of the. Anyway, he got. No, they both got surgery.
Okay. Yes, of course.
It's the model. But yeah, I think he got punted off earlier. It was a kind of a situation. You remember I said earlier on that you never saw an alpha point in the right direction.
Oh yes, that's right. He was one of those alphas that were never in the right direction.
It wasn't their fault. Well, they were involved in it, so it was their fault as such.
So Nat Burton looking at the back of an Alpha, and the Alpha Ragusa is looking at Spawn GTI is racing from the back of the grid to 11th, by the way.
I think it's someone one of the presenters at the
of course
Expo
it
had a
is.
bit of a go.
Of course it is. That's exactly what's right. Meanwhile, just outside the podium position, so not quite on the boxes yet, but Jack McIntyre he must think that his rear view mirror has just basically frozen, because every time he's looked there, he's had naked behind him. And Daniel must be a bit bored of looking at the back of that Lincoln Court. Meantime, another Lincoln Court having a battle at the moment, and that's Ragusa against Spawn. Down the hill.
Cut back.
Wow, who was that coming in? That's Burton.
Oh, he's not having any of that to come down the hill towards the Dunlop curve. Yeah, I think Ragusa's going to get a run into this, but it depends what Spawn's going to do in the Lincoln Coat. He's not in control.
Burton might be the beneficiary here in the black and red Audi Sport.
Yep.
That's the new car, accurately modelled with the reverse swan neck on the rear wing. Check it out, looks fantastic. Burton cruises back up a position to 12th, and now what can he do with the Lincoln Core ahead of him?
Ragusa really lost drive, didn't he, coming up the hill? And he's just fell back half a second.
Oh, Burton's going to have a bit.
Way off the track.
That's fine. It's touring cars. It's fine.
You lose momentum with these cars. It's so important. They're not exactly overpowered for the weight. It's like 350 horsepower, 1.25 tons. It's a momentum class in many ways.
Nearly 400 kilos. Yeah.
It's a real momentum class, and it's really noticeable there. And Ragusa lost the drive at the hill, was completely swamped by Burton, lost a half second hill, but then he's just gone off.
Now, did he hit the wall there?
I don't know. Has he gone off? No, he's back on the track. I think he's back and running, and he's still scored in 11th. But actually, what happened was he managed to get off enough of the track just to get past. So, whilst it looked to us like he'd had a terrible accident, actually what he had done was just sweep out the inside of the camera angle and just make it John, and therefore gain the position. So he used all the wiles of a touring car driver to use the bits of the track which aren't official, but also aren't troublemaking.
It looks to me as though that there is a little bit of a slowdown for going off the circuit as well. You don't have the same amount of momentum for sure. But Burton, Ragusa, Spawn having this scrap for 11th, 12th and 13th position. Who else is joining in there? Is that Fred Favish on the back of there? It is Fred Favish.
Both are professional Audi drivers. They're now in a professional Audi driver sandwich is Spawn and Ragusa.
Yeah.
And Favish is taking no prisoners straight away.
Oh, magnificent. I'll tell you what, those Audis are good on the brakes, aren't they?
They're also good at claiming the track in ways which would perhaps claim to be aggressive.
Boisterous, I was going to say.
He just whipped Ragusa off the track by coming back on the line.
I'm going to say, I'm going to say boisterous. I got that dictionary in the brain.
Excellent, well done.
And I've got a thesaurus as well, so we can look up synonyms. Oh, wide there.
Hang on, that was the leaders. That was Burton who went wide. Spawn through, Favish behind. Yeah, so we said that Favish is lively as a child.
Yeah. So the British flag next to Spawn. So Rule Britannia and all that kind of thing. Little piece of a foreign racetrack that is forever England.
Yes, but he's about to find
Britain, should I say?
Oh, they've
boys have had a brilliant coming together.
Favish has just punted him off. He's completely punted Burton off. He's used him as a brake going into the 4 curve and didn't care. Brilliant.
Hang on, I've got Chris Ranke on the phone now from Audi Sport Customer Racing, wanting to know why his 2-star drivers aren't ever going to talk to each other again.
I can't help feeling they may be in conversation now. Actually, they could be online together and chatting away. That's brilliant. Just let's punt the thing. Honestly, no attempt. I'll just stop on you. It's fine. Off you go.
I think Burton turned in on him there, don't you?
No,
that was his corner, surely. He was on the Verstappen line.
That's right. Even Christian Horner would claim that might have been.
I'm hearing, by the way, that Burton is going to be back here next week with a different test driver in a car that bears a passing resemblance to that Audi, the old version, to prove that in fact was not his fault.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Fantastic stuff. Girolami, by the way, Girolami B, which is Bebu, is stretched away from Girolami F. Franco. And Norby's not closing in now, but Jack McIntyre is closing in on a spot on the podium with a couple of minutes left. Another big hit there. Ragusa this time on the back of Vavish. Ragusa.
If the gloves were ever on, they are so off at the moment.
They're being thrown away.
Now, I wonder
the gloves are so far away. They're actually they're not at the Nurburgring anymore. They're at the Hockenheim Ring.
Now, can he get the drive up the hill? Oh, nice little block there in the middle of the corner.
Very nice.
Vavish using absolute full-size touring car tactics here. He's took the momentum away.
Well, what do? You put your car in the place where your competitor doesn't want it to be.
Yeah.
You've got to stop. You said it's a momentum. So stop the momentum. Battle for third now. Mikulits and McIntyre together with just over a minute and 30 to go.
Yeah, Mikulits' forward momentum towards Franco Girolami kind of stopped, didn't it? Phased about just shy of 3 seconds. And now Jack's coming back at him. It's down to 0.4.
Fastest laps going in as well.
Is it 25 plus 1? So they might have 2 laps, otherwise they'll be on the last lap with a minute and 10 to go.
Fastest lap for McIntyre has brought him within 0.4 of a second.
Here they are. Right on his tail now, Jack.
Yeah, that's not even 0.3 of a second now. Ahead is Franco Girolami, but that's not the battle that's interesting. I reckon this will be the last lap. And McIntyre, after a win in the first race, looking for third spot on the box. And I think they're in traffic at the moment as well, are there? Is that some black cars around them?
Nagy's behind him, and it is the gap ahead.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. Yeah.
Nagy, who they'd all stretched out to a second apart, they've all come back together again. Norby's dropped his pace.
Franco suffering?
No, it's Norby who's dropped his pace.
Sorry, Norby.
Yeah, I think,
is it Norby suffering from that
so.
drive through the field?
I don't know, but you would say he's lost he's suffering from more tyre wear because his pace has dropped right off. Those guys are now nose to tail him, and there's a 2-second gap covering the three of them.
The brothers Girolami, Bebu from Franco, are some 6 seconds up the road and 3 seconds up the road from this. McIntyre trying to get onto the box. The white, red and black car is Norbert Mikulits in the Hyundai Elantra. Then it's the blue Lincoln Corsair 03, and then it's the copper, mainly copper coloured Cupra. Say that 10 times when you've had a couple of ringgeists, if you know, you know, around here. Long drag up the hill. Lincoln Corsair on the wrong side. McIntyre, but he's gone wide!
He's got away with it.
Now Norby's gone wide. Will he get the slowdown? I don't think he has. Or if he has, it wasn't quite enough. Girolami's going to win this one. Here he comes across the line. Bebu wins, and it's a 1-2 for Honda. Norby, I think he's going to hang on for second, but for third rather, but who's fourth? I think it was Nagy. Nagy's gone back through. McIntyre is thwarted. He was going for the last spot on the box, and he ends up in 5th position. How touring car is that?
1600 to a second. He just got a much better drive out the final corner of Daniel Nagy after Mikulits had kind of ruined his momentum going up the hill towards that final corner, the Coca-Cola curve. And yes, it's a Girolami benefit. Mikulits definitely had gone off.
Brilliant stuff. Congratulations to Bebu, who's taken that one from his brother Franco Girolami, the two Hondas there in that reverse grid race. Then Mikulits holding on, drove through the field, Norby from Nagy. Jack McIntyre, who won the first race at a canter, looked like he might be on for a third there. Fiduci, Cardinali, Bauman, Bauer and Schallenberg, the top 10. Spawn GTI, after a spirited race from the back, with Vervish, Berton, Ragusa and others, finishes just outside the top 10. Well, I'm going to say that was a success. It is virtual TCR, but it's just TCR, isn't it?
It certainly was. No, fabulous racing in both races. Certainly that second race, when everyone worked out where the braking points weren't, and therefore decided to use the cars as the brakes. It was fantastic. Really, really good racing.
Don't forget, you can download the mod from SimRacing GP on the 18th of October. The Global Championship will start soon thereafter. €10,000 is the prize pot. Count that money, Nick. Count that money. He's rubbing
money
his
bath.
like
money bath of euros.
And of course, the opportunity from the final to get a real world test in a TCR car. Nick Damon was alongside me, John Hindhaugh for Radio Show Limited in our global commentary booth, and our global broadcast centre will be back later on this weekend for more racing. I'm going for a lie down in a darkened room to just get over that at the moment, and when we come back, Melly will take you through the rest of the afternoon at the ADAC SimRacing Expo here at the Nurburgring.